Hello and welcome. I am Nidanoski, and we are here with Vagrus, the Riven Realms. This is a new game that the developer Lost Pilgrims have made out of apparently a D&D campaign, and I find that intriguing. It was pitched to me as Wildermyth meets Darkest Dungeon. There's going to be a lot of story, so if you've enjoyed my content with Wildermyth, where I sit back, read the story, read the events, and then we play a little bit of strategy, then hopefully this will be that. I was given a code, but I want to let you know that though the developer gave me a code, I really don't get anything from it. There's a link in the description if you want to buy the game. It doesn't support me directly, so that's up to you. You like this? I encourage you to try it out. You don't? Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe considered liking or subscribing it. Let's go ahead and get started with Vagrus. We have two difficulty modes. It looks like the more difficult mode is the Wasteland mode. It's how it's supposed to be. Versus Dissonance mode, which is a more story-driven mode. I like that they have the two modes. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of the colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. From Osmondius by Percy B. Shelley. I'm sure I messed up the pronunciation there.
Ah, yes, a Vagrus. What a profession. Daring and savvy, always watching the horizon, always looking for an opportunity, and of course, for what is best for his comitatus, eh? And you are a Vagrus too, are you not? Many of your kind have I seen in my long life as a vagabond. Care to listen to a story about your exquisite occupation, good master? It is a tale of woe and terror, but it is also a tale that is true, as I have seen it with mine own eyes.
Now here, we're going to get the opportunity to play Pilgrims of the Wasteland, yes or no. I did start the campaign Pilgrims of the Wasteland just to make sure that everything was going to run okay. I didn't actually get to any gameplay, but it does appear Pilgrims of the Wasteland is the tutorial, so we're going to learn how to play together.
Wise you are, good master. My tale is of a Vagrus such as yourself, but one whose fate was cursed and wrought with ill fortune. It all happened a long time ago. 10 years, maybe more. I was but a passenger, traveling rough roads and forgotten ways with this comitatus, south along the feet of the great mountains of the west.
Let's go ahead and start. Now that voice actor sounds so familiar. Is it the voice actor from Thea? I don't know.
This comitatus I speak of had fallen under hard times. Perhaps it was due to imperial harassment or unfortunate decisions, or simply bad luck. Irafrons, saint of roads, does not always smile on us mere mortals. But however it came to pass, their coin was drying up, and their opportunities seemed few and far between. One of the last chances their Vagrus saw was to travel to the remote town of Scrapheap and spend their remaining funds to stock up on cheap scrap metal. This metal could be sold for great profit over in the east and south. It wasn't a bad plan, truly, but it was not without risks either.
Welcome to Pilgrims of the Wasteland. It serves as the introduction. So, I've already had a moment to read this. We know it's the tutorial. Let's go ahead and move on. On the campaign map, your comitatus, your comitatus always occupies a node and moves between nodes through paths. Moving along the paths costs movement points indicated next to each path. Every in-game day you have a number of movement points before you need to camp. To move, click to a nearby mode and select move. Okay. And this is going to cost us 6. Having gone ahead of the column with a handful of scouts, you watch from afar as your comitatus slowly trudges along broken terrain making its way south ponderously among dormant geysers. All around you, the hills smolder lazily in the perpetual twilight. Are you alright? Javik's voice resonates with sympathy as he appears next to you on the ridge. You nod slowly, but do not look at him, your gaze lost in the distance, where ash cloaks the horizon of the towering mountains of the west. You turn your cums? You turn to your comms and note his supportive smile. You and Javik have been traveling the realms together for years now. There is no person in the world you trust more than him, except perhaps yourself. I know that you feel like your hands are tied, but like I said before, you made the right choice by leading us here. I don't know what I'm going with that voice, but let's keep it. Time will tell. Let's see. Sorry, right-click apparently brings up the menu. It has to work. We cannot fail. Not like this. You glance at Javik and notice the weird look he is giving you. You turn away back to the horizon. No reason to be crestfallen yet. We just stick to the plan. Why should it not work? Your friend says carefully. You know there could be hundreds of reasons, but you do not feel like reminding him. Yes, the plan. It might work, yes. Okay, so blue entries are going to be the codex entry. Clicking these navigates you to the entry. The plan. You talked your traveling company into this a few weeks ago, but with each step towards the western mountains, more and more of them started to have doubts. Such is the way of the road, perhaps. The plan involves a desperate attempt at squeezing a low selling price for metal bits out of an old contact of yours in the town of Scrap Heap, and we'll click on these. Stocking up on said metal by spending your remaining coin and bringing the cargo down with the molten tongue of Devian via Avram and Ash. There is a shortage of metal in Devon, and you know several buyers who would give a pretty price for your goods if you can only make it there before many others with a similar cargo. Such contacts are the boon of the long decades spent on the road. But even if Narbo, that villain, gave you an agreeable price in the scrap heap, the road is not without its perils. Sneaking through the gap between the dead forest and the molten tongue is inviting disaster, so it is not a path many Vagri would risk. And of course, if this fails, you are out of alternatives. Do you think Nabo will help us out? The old scavenger was never famous for his goodwill. So, let's see. The Codex is a collection of entries you find throughout your travels. Scrap Heap is a town. Maybe this will be important most of the time. Scrap Heap is engulfed in smoke and ash. Okay. And then we have Molten Tongue. Let's see. Ash and storm clouds gather. So pretty bleak. I would say more than pretty bleak. When calamity hit, the slumbering volcanoes of Dvendathar burst with cataclysmic force. Yes. One can only hope. Or, if he's not willing, we must find a way to compel him. Or, he has to help us out. One can only hope. I haven't seen him in years, but we always did good business. That said, you are not sure he would remember you, if he was alive at all? Oh, I'm sure the sleazy bastards of Snobsbo would remember all the business they've ever done, Vagrus. Javik rubs his chin absent-mindedly. You have seen this expression of his too often not to realize he's using his sorceress talent to read your mind. Taking a peek? Oh, apologies. Javik rubs his eyes and quickly looks away. You know how it is. It comes to me so naturally that sometimes I don't notice I'm doing it. Your thoughts were loud, Vagrus. I have to actually block them out, you see. After joining your comitatus 6 years ago, Javik proved to be an invaluable asset. Not only does he sense moods and thoughts around him, but he also subtly manipulates others when he focuses his inner energies. It comes in handy when doing business. Then there are his other perks. A few times you saw him shatter the minds of men and beasts who tried to kill him. Not a pretty sight, but a very effective deterrence. Yet, because he is not a trained sorcerer, at least not in the traditional sense, his abilities are sometimes difficult to control. You have become accustomed to his impromptu thought scans, while others find it less bearable to be around him. For this reason, he has kept his abilities secret for many years overall, but you can't keep the secret such as this for long in a close-knit community of comitatus, especially not if you keep bursting minds and knowing things you shouldn't. So there are only a handful of your comms who put up with being near him for any length of time. But even so, he has not probed your mind in years, certainly not on purpose, but neither by accident. Perhaps he is in less control now, which suggests he's more on edge about the whole trip. Apology accepted. You manage a faint smile. Let us return to the others and push on. There's still a day's travel ahead of us. Both of you head west to join the column.
As we were coming up to the gates of Scrap Heap, this trash pile town of cutthroats and scavengers, we could see the vast mountain ranges of shattered Bivanda-Thar looming ominously over the horizon, half shrouded in the gaseous vapors belched forth by the volcanoes in the far west. My companions prepared to do their business in town as fast as they could, not wishing to tarry in this notorious place.
Let's keep moving to Scrap Heap. So when a comitatus enters the settlement, you can select from a variety of options on the page. Okay. At the foot of the ever-fuming mountains of the ancient dwarven kingdoms lies Scrap Heap, the town of scavengers. Debris and junk is piled into veritable hills upon which the rickety homes and of the decrepit inhabitants stand precariously. Ash lingers everywhere, and the sun is almost always absent from the twilit skies. Deals are struck every day and night over the precious metal scraps gathered in the ruins nearby Dvandathar, while the Heap King oversees all from his dreaded tower. Shady eyes in the soot-covered faces watch from under the ash-laden awnings. Life is cheaper than iron here, some say. All right, let's... Oh. You're gonna make me... This time only the story pane. Okay. You make your way to the Rat's Dash, a notorious watering hole tucked away in a small street just beneath the imposing tower of the Heap King, but not quite under its immense shadow. For few frequent the establishment, which make it the perfect for Narbo and his little operation of honest merchants. Apparently, the knave is not only alive, but has done well for himself in the past decade or so. Taking only Javik, you leave the comitatus to the care of the Titus, your quartermaster, while you are negotiating. Ash is fitting with black sky as you cross the street and nod to the bouncer of the Restash. You give him your sidearms quietly. Rules are rules, at least as long as they can enforce them. Yet you have the courtesy of allowing you to keep your dagger, and of course they have no idea what Javik is capable of, should it come to a scuffle. Not that you expect such a thing, but with Narbonne, one never knows. Though you have told your crew that he and you go way back, the entrepreneur is capricious and manipulative man with whom you did not part on the best of terms. Does he remember that? Surely. Could he be persuaded to take on your proposal? Who knows? Your eyes slowly adjust to the dimness of the tavern's interior. Only a few candles and a lamp at the bar illuminates the common room. Shadowy faces turn toward you and observe through the smoke. The bartender, a thick-set man with dirty tunic, is chewing tobacco serenely. Above the bar hangs the skeleton of a large heap lizard on display. Narbo is sitting at the table in the back, his bodyguard half hidden in the darkness or at the wall behind him. Ooh, this is gonna set the tone. Do we let him come to us? Do we walk over to the bar? Let's let him come to us. You sit down with Javik and take a peek at Narbo and now and again. After ordering a mug of bitter ale called Ash Tongue for yourself and a coffee for Javik, your companion leaves closer. Your friend, Narbo, seems to have some trouble with a package. In his mind, it is a source of constant frustration. In connection with the Heap King. You nod at Javik. His ability to read surface thoughts have proven invaluable on occasion. Perhaps this is the edge you need. You notice how the sleazy merchant has stopped fiddling with his calculus and is now looking at some papers listlessly. It is time. The entrepreneur looks up from a stack of papers in front of his and rubs his eyes. Narbo is a corpulent man with a bushy dark beard and a few missing teeth. Part of his face is covered in scars similar to those left by old burns. That, coupled with the withered and mutated left arm that hangs limply at his side, it is clear indication of the taint. The merchant wears his leather jerkin studded with small bronze and bone coins, a sign of wealth and boldness. His bodyguard, a lithe man with tribal tattoos and an outfit made of leather, moves his hand calmly to the spear that leans against the wall. Narbo's mouth falls open as the spark of recognition flares up in his eyes. No wonder. It has been 10 years. Oh. I thought you croaked. Narbo waves his good hand around and looks at his bodyguard. Told tales of your demise. The man finishes his sentence for him and the merchant nods vehemently. That business with Kernak, outpost in the storm? Let's see. He has a dialect that the author's trying to get across. You tell him that you were indeed at Kernak when the terrible arcane storm struck. You describe horrors of the night briefly. You add how many of your original comitatus died there. Close friends, old traveling companions, but you walked away unscathed. This was years ago. Sheesh! That Irefan's looked like after you something fierce, eh? Narbo chuckled heartily. But I'm sure you haven't come to reminisce about good old times, eh? His predatory smile makes you cautious, even though he invites you to sit down with a casual wave of his meaty hands. You know, I'm going to ignore threats because they don't bother me. Let's get down to business. You tell Narbo to let bygones be bygones and instead listen to what you have to offer now. You got some balls coming here after all business and bold. After a tense moment, his stern expression turns to a toothless smile. I like it. The bodyguard visibly becomes less tense. Narbo opens his arms and bows his head. Let's hear it, mate. You breathe in. Time to outline your proposition. All right. Some choices have dependencies, meaning you can only pick certain choice if you have the right prerequisite. Alright, some choices involve tests that can be failed. Perks, characters, and resources can change the chance of success in tests. Continue with this event. You explain to Narbo how you want to give him a discount on a shipment of metal scraps, which you would smuggle into Devon through contacts you have in the city's underworlds. The profits of the shipment would be quite exquisite. You do not name your contact, but divulge enough of her that the plan looks solid. Buyers, you say, are lining up, expecting the shipment soon. Narbo sits in silence, eyes fixed on the table, as if listening to some noise from afar. He does not cut you off at any time during your proposition. At length, after you are done, he looks up and gives you a weak smile. That sounds like you've been thinking a long time about it, he says as he shifts in the chair. And it's a great plan. Except for the part where I give you a discount for your asking and not much else. And I don't do that, mate. That would make me, what? An almoner, the bodyguard adds discreetly. That a word? Narbo looks up at him. When the man nods, he turns back. Aye, an almoner. See, I'm no almoner. You know you gotta do better than that. What you got for me? So tell him you will be in his debt. He will make a tidy profit. Remind him that you two used to make a great team. Reveal that you're revile. Let him know that in exchange for his help, you can help him out with the problem he might have now. Narbo's secret value must exceed the requirement. Narbo's jaw drops when you insinuate that you know about his little problem. Well, you're better connected than I thought. Or have you something up your sleeve? The merchant says as he eyes Javik suspiciously. For a while he is quiet, then he looks up and narrows his eyes. Tells you what I think. I think we can help each other. You headed to Devon by way of Avernham, eh? When you nod, Narbo leans closer and signals his bodyguard. The man with the dreadlocks steps closer and carefully produces a small packet from beneath his leather jerkin. Then he puts it in the merchant's palm. This here's little fella is mighty important to me, you see. If you take this out of the city and deliver it to my associate in Avernham, we're even. You get your discount scrap from me. The merchant offers you the package. Javik draws in a breath, but before he could speak, Narbo interrupts him. And before pretty boy asks, no, I won't be telling you what's in it, and don't even think about opening the package. What can I say? It ain't dangerous to you yourself, but, well, you might want to keep it hidden from the militia of good old Crap Heap. You take the package. The way Narbo glances at you makes it clear you have no other choice. This might be the opportunity you had hoped for. The package is small enough to fit your palm. Feels very light and is wrapped in a fine leather. You pocket it briefly after observing it. You'll be looking for a man named Scorner in Avernham. He ain't to be trifled with either. Just tell him I sent you and you'll be fine. You can find him in his men in Lavius wasting hole most of the time. Give this fella to him and to him only. Understand? After you assure him you do, Narbo instructs you to give him an hour, then look for his people at the market and simply introduce yourselves. They will know what price they should give you on the metal scrap by them. He motions to his man. You and Javik stand up and make ready to leave. Rather, we'll take you to the back, is it? Don't want people getting the idea that they can come here to beg for almonds now, do we? Or anyone to connect us and run them to the militia, for that matter. You got what you came for, so you leave with Rith's dash through the back entrance and head to the combattatus. Alright, so your journal located in the bottom left is now active. That means, or it is your means to follow stories and tasks. The journal allows you to view your quests, tasks, and other related information. You can search for entries, filter, that's useful, Objectives are your quest's ongoing stories. The text of the selected list of items, unread entries have a blue exclamation. Tasks are non-narrative missions and goals you can complete for rewards. There's several types, like the opportunities or mercenary work, but in Pilgrims of Wasteland you can only find passengers here. Passengers have to be taken to their destination, where they will compensate you for your trouble, but be careful, sometimes passengers will leave if you take too long. Qualities can be statuses, gathered information, secrets, and so on. Alright. Close journal after checking your objectives. So we have the package and the shipment. Okay. And then I want to take a look at qualities. A wandering old man. He'll give us 1 coin. The market pane is now active. The market pane displays available goods, and you can buy the settlements, I can't even talk. Buy at the settlements market on the right, and opens your cargo pane on the left. You can buy goods from the market, sell your own goods from the cargo hold here. When buying or selling, buy or sell 1 increment only by clicking on the buy or sell button. Hold shift to buy or sell buttons, whole stacks respectively. Drag and drop the icon for buying or selling stacks of goods. Holding shift and clicking the icon opens a window where you can specify the quantity. Purchase 24 scrap metals. And additional supplies to have at least 800 units. So right now, as far as supplies go, I have 200. So 700. I need all 100. Where is my money? So my money is up here, and it looks like it is... I'm not sure exactly... Let's see. 5 brass, 6 lirg, and 5 changers. So 1 brass equals 10 lirg, and 1 lirg equals 10 changers. Huh. Okay. So, their own currency. I can live with that. Equipment that you can attach to the comitatus is sold on some market or found throughout your travels. They provide bonuses and upgrades. You can switch between the market goods and the equipment buttons over the... Let's see. Okay. Good to know. Switch to the equipment tag and purchase... Equipment you own are in the pool. Let's see. In order to apply their bonuses, you need to equip them by dragging and dropping them to the appropriate slot on the illustration. Equipment can only be placed in a slot that matches its type. What exactly does this do? Minus 25 consumption. Equip the wings on your comitatus. Let's see. Categories is a harness. So where's the harness? Sorcery, tools, cargo. Oh, harness, the belt. Ha ha ha. Items, the 3rd type of cargo, do not take up cargo space and are not equipable. They are used and traded in certain events. You can switch panes in a settlement, and the active pane will open the corresponding comitatus management. When you're done exploring, click on the arch icon on the bottom right. Okay, this to leave scrap heap. Once you leave, you cannot come back to this place in Pilgrims of Wasteland, so be sure to do everything you want before venturing forth. So this is the passenger I already have. We could walk up to the tower, perhaps visit the Heap King, or there's always something to be had here. I'm gonna stop right here and say this is basically a D&D campaign for one person. And I like it. I haven't actually gotten to the gameplay so far, but the premise is good. When Lost Pilgrims talk about years of developing this world for their campaign through AD&D and D&D, this feels well thought out. I like this. But let's take a look. Excuse me. You and Javik roam the dingy market called Scrounger's Lane at the foot of Great Heap, upon which the tower of the Heap King is built. Ash-covered awnings and dirty stalls line the labyrinth streets here, and with stifling narrow alleys and tiny squares adding to the general confusion, sometimes it is difficult to tell a shop from a dilapidated home, and for a good reason. Most people who live here are also merchants to some extent, and even though the Heap King's militia is there to keep the peace, you can't help but notice all the shifty gazes from the deplorable types aimed at you. Okay. You recall a little shop hidden in the alley its owner used to peddle. Perhaps it's still there. Cost 2 resourcefulness. I'm not sure what resourcefulness is. Enhanced leadership perk to unlock. Let's go ahead and do that. The small shop is still there at the end of the serpentine alley on the south of the market. Standing outside it, you notice how it is in much worse shape than you remember. Inside the decrepit scrap shack is an equally unkempt young fellow who hails you with a jolly smile. The shop looks empty. A short conversation reveals that the youngster is the son of the man who used to run this place. His father never came back from the forage into dwarven ruins a few months ago. Unfortunately, I don't have Dad's expertise on dwarves. Neither am I the adventurous sort. So, by now I've sold all his remaining stock and I'm closing shop soon. Then I'm off and away from Cat Peep for good. Go south, maybe the Dragonlands, he says, scratching his beard. You talk for a bit about dwarven culture and his father's obsession with their forgotten technologies and wonders. You are about to say goodbye when he slaps his forehead. Oh! I still have something here that the progress such as yourself would be interested in. He fishes out a small brass compass out of his pocket and hands it to you. It is a masterwork, no doubt. Sporting runes and detailed etchings on the side. The fellow's willing to sell it to you for a token price. Ooh. I mean, that doesn't look like a token price. +1 max movement. +1 navigation. You know, I will buy the compass. You and Javik roam the dusty markets. Okay, we've already done this. I'm actually going to leave. And let's go walk up to the tower. We don't have an invitation to the tower. I wonder what we could have done to get one. Oh, right there. Walking up the great heap to the immense tower is a daunting task. Up on the hill, it is even more difficult to breathe than in the ash-choked city at its feet. A hot wind blows from the south. Every step is slow torture. By the time you reach the gates of the tower, your chest is heaving and you keep coughing up soot. Before you rises the tower of the Heap King, ruler of the trash pile of a town. The whole structure is cobbled together from scrap with the lower levels covered in the metal sheets. A huge bonfire of yellow-white flame burns on its topmost level day and night, a beacon for the scavenging teams to follow home. Looking nigh impregnable, the fortress has only one entrance. A small group of guards sneer malevolently as you approach. Better turn back if you have no business here, vagabond, the ranking gatekeeper says from under a mask attached to his bronze skull cap. Perhaps you could try licking my bum and see where it gets you. One of the guards says, loud enough to hear you. A round of applause and guffaws follow. The ranking guard does not laugh, but does nothing to reprimand his men either. My duty is to stop anyone without official business to enter, not to educate them where to get a pass, he says, and walks back with the others. Nothing will change their minds. You know, let's take a look at the prices and goods. Test fail, 82 to 65. I wonder what that means. Did I roll a percentile, or what did I roll? I don't know. After spending an hour looking for wares, you realize there's nothing here. Okay. Oh. Okay. Guarding your camp effectively puts a strain on your guards. Packed up, restocked on supplies, and with all business here concluded, you finally make ready to leave the decrepit town of Scrap Heap. You spend the night inside the guarded compound. On second thought, there's... Let's see. I just lost a Leerg. You realize that even if they're looking for the package Noble gave you, there's a minuscule chance of finding it among several departing caravans, all made of dozens of people respectively. Besides, the packet is tiny and well hidden in the bottom of a sack of dried mushrooms. A rogue magistrate of the Heap King appears to coordinate the search efforts. As your comitatus draws near, it takes only a passing glance from him to check you and your crew before he motions the guards. The comitatus is well on its way, and Scrap Heap is a mere dot on the horizon by the time Javik joins you in the front of the line. Just like I said, you made the right choice. I don't even know when I'm going. Javik's had like 13 different voices. You made the right choice with this venture. Talk of how many you've saved us all is spreading like talk of how you may have saved us all is spreading like wildfire, he says with a faint smile. Of course, we do have to make it alive to Dven with the cargo, but a good start, don't you think? Agreed. There may be hope for the comitatus after all. Well, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's not like we started this business yesterday. With that, you both go back to your duties on the constant monitoring of the horizon. If all goes well, you should reach the Wound in a few days, where you can turn south along the edge of the Molten Tongue and travel down to Avernum. We get +3 morale, and we've unlocked the achievement A Second Chance. So your progress is saved at checkpoints. When you leave a settlement, reach a story related to a checkpoint, as well as at the start of each in-game day. Your game is saved automatically or overriding the previous autosave. Manual saving is unavailable in the standalone story Pilgrims of the Wasteland. In the open world main campaign, you can save manually in the game F10, and you can load F9. Okay.
There they were, with a full cargo hold, and filled with newfound hope. Yet, the road ahead still promised hardships and peril. I travelled with them southwards, expecting to reach more habitable lands beyond the Molten Tongue's river of lava.
Journal updated. Let's go this far. The crew management UI is now active. Click on the sheet in the top left corner. Crew management window allows you to manage your comitatus. Morale is the general good mood. Okay, if it ever drops to 1, there's a chance the comitatus dissolves and you'll lose the game. Morale, keep high. Got it. Obedience indicates how satisfied your slaves are. Low obedience leads to theft, runaways, and worse. Be sure to guard your slaves with enough fighters and treat your slaves well or punish them constantly to raise their obedience. Nutrition shows how well fed your crew is. Nutrition incurs penalties. Extra rations raise nutrition, while starving your crew repeatedly lowers it. And vigor indicates that or how tired the comitatus is. Low vigor results in penalties on tests and drastically slower comitatus, which can spell doom quite fast. Alright, so a little bit of a survival aspect. Upkeep shows how much you owe your crew. You can pay them at the end of each day or keep collecting debt. Consumption is how much food your crew consumes each day. Running out of supplies leads to quick death in the wastelands. Workforce is generated by workers and slaves. You have enough workforce to cover the comitatus needs, including beast, crew, and passengers. Going below the required number bestows serious penalties, and passengers are people your comitatus takes to their destinations for rewards. You can take on passengers in some events and settlements. They also consume supplies. Lizard icon. That's a lot of information right up front. I mean, yeah. Partially defended, persistent. What does that mean? Guarding your camp effectively puts on a strain. And our passenger is a wandering old man. Here you can see the number of each crew and beast type you have in your comitatus. Consult the tooltip for each type to learn more about their role. Outriders are special because you need a fighter and a mount to be able to create an outrider by using the plus button, which is this. Okay. And we do have, so we can create 2. For now, add an outrider, then close this window by hitting the X. But we have this. Okay. And we have 9 total. We have to rest for the day. You run out of movement points and need to camp. So it's kind of worthless getting that compass for an extra movement at this point. Since we would have moved the exact number, but I imagine in the long run it's going to be helpful. You've run out of movement points and need to camp for the day. Let's see, being on the road all day spends your movement points and lowers your vigor. You can also camp earlier than running out of MPs, which helps. Okay. So not spending all your movement points helps. Maybe the compass was useful. At the end of each day, the comitatus takes camp and settles down. At each camp, you decide to offer normal or double wages for the current day, independent of whether you pay them or not. Double payment increases morale. You can also choose to pay all your debts to your crew at this time, pay now, or crew payments, pay later. The longer you delay, the grumpier crew gets. Obedience and nutrition also appear here. Workforce shows how much workforce generated by... Let's see. Yeah. I mean, once I have all of this information down, it's going to be super easy going through everything. Our daily upkeep is 3. Is it Learg? Okay, I should keep reading the tutorial. You have an option to give out less or more supplies under rations. Let's see. All the lock icons allow you to save currently setting. Okay. Hold space. Under hunting and foraging, you can send your crew out into the wasteland to find supplies and sometimes even other goods. Base chances depend on your related perks, etc. You can also see the expected yields below each activity. Okay? And this is down here. Hunting using scouts or hunting uses scouts and has a chance to get you a large number of supplies. Critical failure might kill scouts. Foraging is more reliable but yields fewer supplies. It can use workers and slaves. You can add or remove them. Let's see, hunting. And the summary of what has happened to your crew. Okay. That day can be seen on the right. You can talk to your companions using the speech bubble. Companions heal naturally. I'm thinking companions are the actual party members for any battles. Using the button to the right, the use of medical supplies for increased healing or chances and effectiveness. Medical supplies are quite valuable. Use them wisely. Healing results appear after you end the day. You must also set your defense orders for the night. A more lenient defense has a higher risk of nighttime ambush and a negative effect on obedience. When you have everything set up, click End Day. Okay. So, send out your workers to forage. So failure, fewer supplies, and critical failure might lose slave and obedience. Okay. Let's go ahead and pay him now. I like the idea of liberating one of my slaves. Nutrition, you know, I'm not sure exactly what's that or what that's going to do. We're gonna get 1 worker and -1 slave. I like the idea of that. We'll have 10 slaves left over that we can continue to liberate as they do good works. But I imagine that's also going to raise our daily upkeep. Let's see, we have character sheet and talk to the companion. You approach Javik. He is tending one of your beasts of burden. When he sees you wish to talk, he steps away, motioning to the handler to finish what he started. What's on your mind, Vagrus? Let's see. Avernum required, and this one is the package. Ask what he thinks about Narbo's package. Whatever is in it. Your friend was really concerned to get it out of scrap heap with none of the wiser, and get it to this man in Avernum. When he sees your thoughtful expression, Javik asks, I sincerely hope you don't plan on opening the thing. We're in enough of a predicament as it is, and it would surely antagonize this scorner fellow who, in Narvo's mind, appeared a tough customer. Someone your friend was clearly afraid of. Oh, yeah, I remember. You haven't been there for a long time. Well, Avernum is less of a provincial town like Scrap Heap these days, and more like a great city of the Empire. Sure, it's not as large as Davin or Torzug Shelter, but it's a busy city with lots of people and commerce. They say that the prefect who oversees the place has his own private thing going on, and he's fairly easy on the crime bosses. Well, at least on those that play along. Trade from the region concentrates on Avernum, and everyone wants to get their share. Let's see. I am what they call afflicted. That is, someone with abilities beyond those of mortals. These abilities vary greatly from person to person. Mine are what you might call telepathic, mental powers that can sense, enhance, and even manipulate the thoughts of both beasts and men. These afflictions are thought to have originated from the calamity. I couldn't say myself. I only know that I've had them since I can remember. Let's see. Javik frowns and looks away. That is something I do not wish to divulge. It's not a matter of trust, you know. I swore an oath not to give away anything of my mentors, and I intend to keep my word. Oh, there's not much to say, really. You know most of it already. I spent most of my youth on the road, where I learned to handle all kinds of beasts. My abilities were a great help, and but I also had really good teachers. Eventually, I sought training to enhance my telepathic skills, but I returned to life on the road later. We met a little after that. Oh, I can't say where I was born. My mother was on the move. The way Javik says mother seems oddly hurtful. But that wasn't for very long. She sold me as a slave. Never knew my folks because of that. I never said it because you never asked. But it's no secret, really. I was liberated at a quite young age by a Vagrus who saw potential in me and my abilities. Let's go ahead and say enough chatting. And who are you? Morwen is discussing something with a few scouts. She sees you and steps away from her company, joining you next to a tent in the shadows. You immediately start to feel anxious, as if roused out of torpor by Tarkin or by Tarkin coffee. The effects of her demonkin heritage, no doubt. Anything I can do for you? Ask what she thinks about the comitatus. What I think is that if everyone does what they're supposed to do, we can deal with most problems on the way. There's a moment of silence and you realize she's done talking about this. Javik required. Javik is someone I did not trust. He can read people's thoughts, they say, but he's always been kind to everyone. And he knows his way around beasts. I'm glad he's traveling with us. I was a mercenary. I don't want to talk about that. Then you hired me, and you've known everything there is worth knowing about me since. Ask her about Demonkin. She seems thoughtful for a moment. Now, I can't speak for all of us because there's so many kinds and variants of our race. We are called Demonkin, since it is said that demonic blood runs through our veins. Around us, people can feel uneasy or anxious. Each of us have abilities that men of your empire do not possess. I can see in the dark. Cold gets to me slower, and my skin gets burned less likely than that of humans. It's all very practical. Oh, and I have these. She points to her horns and bone spikes. No, I think that is enough. I'm going to take a look at their character sheets. Or not. And I can't assign duties, toggle medical supplies, disable heal. Now, defensive order. Post no guards, 1 vigor, -1 obedience. Post guards. And post double guards, basically. Or post guard sufficient. Insufficient armed crew. Or not double guard. Okay. We'll post guards. So foraging failed. No foragers were harmed. Hunting failed. No scouts were harmed. And we can make it... Let's see. What's our vigor doing? Well rested. I'm going to move at least 2 spaces forward. I guess the compass was useful immediately. If we push it, we can make it to the end of this in 2 days. I want to kind of keep the vigor high. So, and we're going to end the day. Foraging. Okay, so we got 6 supplies. After a long day's march under bleak skies and harassed by hot winds, the comitatus finally settles down in a wide ravine. After taking care of camp chores, checking all of your comms, you go to your tent and tuck in for the night. There are benefits to sleeping out in the wasteland. The silence is quite calming, tranquil even. Only the murmur of distant fire-belching mountains, the whisper of the wind, and occasional groans of your beasts can be heard. Except something else is making muffled noise you do not recognize. Your eyes flick open. Something is wrong. What in Tartarus? You rise to check it out. Leaving your tent and passing the sleeping beasts, you're about to call to a guard when you stumble upon a large quadrupedal creature covered with fused bone protrusions. It is munching on supplies scattered across the ground, evidently from a torn open sack lying nearby. This creature is a chakra, a wasteland creature that scavenge or that hunts in packs. Before you can utter a word, the monster charges you, and out of the shadows, Morwen leaps at it, tackling it aside and cutting its hide with her bone axe in a follow-up swing. You breathe out, realizing that she probably just saved your life. Jovik runs up, and just as the creature backs off and lets out a howl, "There's more of these cursed things, boss. Must have sneaked past the perimeter guards. They're trying to chase him off," he blurts out. As he does, you can hear him yelling, and sounds of a battle you can hear yelling and the sounds of battle from across the camp. The wounded Jakra is joined by another one of the behind the cargo, and I'm realizing I forgot to set a guard. I do think that maybe this was predetermined. Companions combat is turn-based, where 1 to 6 enemies fight against your team of 1 to 6 companions. You can use skills. Companion combat is made up of rounds. Each round, all the participants take turns to act, and when everyone has had their turn, the current round ends and a new round is started. This goes on until either your companions or your enemies are defeated. Combat board is divided 2 sides. Okay. Melee skills can only be used from the front row. They can only target the front row enemies that are adjacent to the attacker's position, or the back row enemies if there are no front row enemies. Because of those rules, positioning in melee is paramount. Oh, so I can't position her? Oh, hold space. All characters move to any adjacent position on their own. If they move into a position that is occupied by another character, that character is pushed out. Not only do characters in the front row prevent melee attacks against characters directly behind them, but also make it more difficult to hit with certain ranged attacks. When you want to move, select the move icon, then the target position by clicking on it, then confirm with a second click. Move Morwen in front of... okay. Each companion has 4 skills besides move represented. When you select a skill, its stats are displayed. You can select skills by or move by clicking on them. Use Mind Blast to attack one. Alright, Morwen's skill include options to push enemies back and to pull. Let's see. Some skills are more complex. For example, including a move and an attack strafe. These types of skills can be used to great effect in controlling your enemies. Use Morwen's Savage Kick skill 3 to send the Jakra enemy to the back row, denying it its attack. Ha! Except it evaded. But it still got moved? Interesting. We can consult. Defeat your enemies, hold space. Oh, the forfeit button, bent arrow, at the character portrait allows you to pass your turn. So, maybe not the best named, but the character sheet can be opened. Let's see. Oh, I can access the character sheet. Yay! And what do I have? Mind Blast, Power 2, and Hypnosis. A single target moves to where you command it. Premonition. The caster and single ally receive a bonus. I think I'll do that. Jovik begins his turn. And Devastating Blow, Strafe, Savage Kick, Whiplash. And we've defeated him. Okay. Oh no! Wow, I'm hurt. But I took them down. Alright, the two Jokra lie dead at your feet. Morwen wipes the foul-smelling blood from her axe blade as the guard arrives and talks to her. You okay, boss? Javik puts you on the shoulder, or pats you on the shoulder. You nod, turning to Morwen as she approaches you. All hostiles taken care of, she says. They got some of the food, but we could take their meat and other parts to make up of it. Yeah, let's go ahead and harvest them. 2 ivory, 90 supplies, and 5 hides. Alright, and I think that is Vagrus. Honestly, it's a little bit different than I was expecting, but really, so far, it's a lot of fun in that this really feels like a D&D campaign. I was thinking that more and more this isn't necessarily a caravan managing game, a party managing game. This really feels like what you would be expected to do as a team in Dungeons and Dragons or other similar tabletop games, and I really enjoy that. Let me know if you want to see more of this, and as always, I'm Nidanoski. Have fun.